Martin, originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina, was a COM Studies major and a member of the UNCW men's basketball team, served as the captain on the 2000 CAA championship team, the school's first NCAA tournament berth. Martin graduated in May of 2000 with a major in communication studies and a leadership minor. From there, he would go to graduate school at Ohio University, and then he would begin his professional career in athletics, spending 7 years at Michigan State, then 8 years at The Ohio State University before becoming the youngest athletic director in the Power Five at 37 years old, as well as the first African-American athletic director at Boston College. Martin would then spend 3 years at BC before becoming the athletic director at UCLA last July. Since July, Martin has a number of key accomplishments, including negotiating a multi-year apparel deal with Nike and the Jordan brand, becoming only the 5th Jordan brand school in the Power Five. UCLA team successes have been strong, with men's water polo winning a national championship, men's basketball reaching the Final Four, and over 12 teams currently ranked in the top 25 in the country. I'll pass it over to Martin. Again, feel free to chime in throughout the discussion for questions, or if you prefer, you can submit them through the chat and we'll work it in for you. It's all yours.
All right, how we doing, everybody? It is so good to see a lot of faces, people I haven't seen in a long time. Shannon, I'm seeing faces. How you doing? And it's really cool. I appreciate everybody being here. I would love for you to put in the chat, if you went to UNCW, what year you graduated. And if you've got a married name now, put the name that I would recognize. But I wanna say thank you to everybody for making it. I want to also give a shout out. I can't see everybody on here, but I know one of my teammates, Scott Lancaster, is on here and had his first baby, Marley, little girl, maybe 2 months ago, Scott. So I want to say thanks for making it. Your eyes don't look tired enough though, man. You look like you sleeping too much. You need to take over some duties, man. So I just wanted to say thanks, and I really like questions. I think it's better, especially for students, if you have questions or thoughts. These go a lot quicker and a lot easier if you ask questions. So happy to interrupt anytime, put something in the chat. Or Chelsea, you stop me and tell me to shut up anytime and ask the question, and happy to do that. So I just thought I'd talk a little bit briefly about communication and leadership, especially during this pandemic. You know, there's no book or manual to take a new job and move across the country from Boston to LA during a pandemic. And it's got its challenges but opportunities also. But for me, when I think about communication, what I learned at UNCW and some of the building blocks of what I do now in leadership, it all started at UNCW, and it all started with COM Studies. One of the first ones that I think about is connection, right? And connection is so key into what all we do. You know, whether it's your job, whether it's at home, you have to have the ability to connect with people, find common ground. And when you do that, you don't accomplish things. You work with people to accomplish things. Everything is people oriented. And so for me, as I've been on the job here at UCLA for 9 months, you know, I always am thinking about, how do I connect with my team? How do I connect with my coaches? How do I connect with our student athletes? What's that look like? And I think if you spend a lot of time doing that, you put people at ease naturally, and it's easier to lead and it's easier to follow when you have that common perspective. And then the other thing I'll say is that the 3 Ps. This is kind of what I've kind of put my head around early on in the pandemic and really followed. Because a lot of times I get asked the question, you know, how do you lead and do these things during this pandemic, during uncertainty? Hopefully everybody knows college athletics has seen a lot of challenges this year, from having student athletes compete to financial struggles, with not having fans and tickets and those kind of things. So I think about the 3 Ps. That's kind of what I do. And those 3 Ps are purpose, passion, and perspective. Purpose, passion, and perspective. So the first thing is purpose. Why am I doing this? And I think everybody has to ask that, especially during a pandemic sometimes when the days get long and you're tired of it. You know, why am I doing what I'm doing? What is my purpose? What is my focus? And you've got to keep that main thing the main thing. The purpose is the most important thing because that's what's going to fulfill you. That's what's going to give you energy when you're tired, when you don't want to go on. It's that purpose and that focus and that alignment that you get. And so you have to keep that at the forefront. So once you have that purpose, then it's passion. You got to have energy. You got to have juice. You know, for the job that I do, for what we do, you got to, let's go. You know, I'm a guy, when I walk in a room, you know, am I giving energy or am I taking energy from it? You know, you got to be a person that gives energy. I don't know about you, but I don't like to be around, oh, hi, Dr. Olson. How you doing? No, Rick, what's up, man? What's up, bro? Let's go. You know, that's just, you got to have juice. You got to have passion. You got to have energy. So you got that purpose, then you hit it with the passion. You got to have the energy. And then finally, you're going to make decisions. You're going to stumble some. You're going to get some things right. You got to have perspective. You got to be able to take a step back and look at it because we're so into it right now that you got to have that perspective to say, hey, this is how I could have gotten better. This is what I could have done. As Coach Wainwright, our college coach, used to say, never get too high, never get too low. But you have to have that perspective to look at what you've done, what you're working on, and then be able to say, you know what, tomorrow the sun's going to come up. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times I go at night, I'm just exhausted. And I have to wake up and say, you know what, tomorrow's a new day. And I'm not going to worry about what happened today. I'm not going to worry about what happened this week. I'm going to just look forward. And a lot of times you just got to do that. You just got to breathe. You got to have that perspective. You can't be so hard on yourself. So for me, purpose, passion, perspective, the 3 Ps, you just got to keep that focus. And then it's rinse and repeat, right? Once you had a perspective, you reflect, you look at, you evaluate, right back to what's my purpose? Why am I doing this? Because again, when things get hard, it's easy when things are easy. You know, UCLA, we got to the Final Four, man, everything was easy. You know, everything's working, right? Everything's good. But when you have challenges, you know, that's when you gotta come back to that and be able to center yourself, especially in chaotic times. I try to keep it normal as much as possible. Because chaos, you can't operate effectively and efficiently in chaos. You have to have a consistency. The other thing I'll say too, and then I'll open it up for questions, is before you can be your best, mind right, game right. And what I mean by that is you got to have yourself right before your game can be right. And that starts with you. So for me, you know, you got to figure that out. I think the pandemic has helped a lot of us figure out what we like, what we don't like. But it's become harder because your routine has been disrupted to really get a sense and a purpose of how do I get myself in the best frame of mind? You know, when I come on this Zoom at 6 o'clock, you want my best. I got to give you my best. Well, how do I give you my best? I got to get a workout. I got to run. I ran 4 miles about 3 hours ago, right? I got to make sure I eat properly. If I'm eating chips all day, you know, I'll probably be lethargic a little bit on this call. But mind right, game right. I can't perform and do what I need to do until I get my mind right and myself right. And that's the other thing I would challenge, especially students. The younger you are, the habits that you can start now that are positive will carry you when the job or the responsibilities add up on you. Family, work, life, stress. You know, you got to be able to fall back on that, right? So that's really important. So 3 Ps, mind right, game right. And I'm gonna stop and pause right there, Chelsea and Chrissy. I'm gonna slow down right now because I could go a little bit more, but I'm gonna just stop right there and pause. You guys are quiet. You guys are quiet. You want me to keep going?
I'm gonna ask. Let me ask a question, if it's okay, Martin. So you rose quickly. I mean, that's part of, you know, you 40 under 40 and all that stuff. But a lot of students and a lot of professionals here right now that have quote unquote made it can encounter what we call the imposter syndrome. The idea that there's somebody's going to discover something about me and it's all going to crash.
Yes.
When was the first time that you kind of had to slay that dragon on your way up? Like, what was a moment where you were like, oh no, it's about to happen? And how did you respond, or how do you deal with that imposter syndrome?
Rick, that's a great question. I think we all have imposter syndrome to a degree. I know for me, the more I have done throughout my career, the stronger it has been, quite frankly. And I'll be vulnerable here. I've had that numerous times throughout my life. I mean, grad school, I was the only Black kid in my grad class. So doing something and leaving North Carolina to go into grad school where no one looked like me, that was hard. So you're always asking yourself, do I belong? Should I be here? You mentioned that at 37, I become an athletic director at Boston College. I grew up Southern Baptist. This is a Catholic Jesuit institution. And I'm 37, the youngest in the country. That's not supposed to happen to a kid from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Immediately imposter syndrome. Why is this happening to me? Right? And so instead of falling back on, I'm prepared for this. I have studied this. I have worked for this. This is the favor that I am due because of the work that I've put in and the people that have poured into me. Dr. Brunson, my family, my parents. Instead of doing that, you say, why am I supposed to, why is this happening to me? And you go on down the list. I mean, I never thought I would see living in LA on the West Coast. I never thought I'd be, whatever it is. But when you get that, again, I go back to purpose. I do this because I want to have impact. I want to make impact. I know as a student athlete and a student at UNC Wilmington, the impression and the impact that people had on me and my career and being a student athlete, and I want to do the same thing. And I know in my heart of hearts, I've got a purpose and a calling to make an impact that's significant. And if I don't do that, then I am sacrificing the gifts that the Lord has blessed me with. And so I go back, when I start thinking, why me? I start thinking, why not me? I start thinking, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is the impact I'm supposed to have. And so you got to tell yourself that. And when that imposter syndrome, it stays with you. As a matter of fact, I listened to a lot of podcasts during my run. I listened to an Oprah podcast with Viola Davis, and she just got all these awards, and she talked about having imposter syndrome during this Ma Rainey performance. I just listened to that. So it's funny you asked about that. And I related to that because I have days where I'm like, what? How is a kid from Fayetteville, North Carolina, the AD at UCLA, and being the steward of such a great program and having athletic history? That's not supposed to happen, but it is supposed to happen, and you make it happen. So that's kind of how I look at it. You got to tell yourself. It's like mind right, game right. What are you telling yourself? The longest relationship you're going to have in this life is with yourself. So what are you feeding yourself? What are you telling yourself? And that's really important. And I think sometimes when that negativity, that voice we all have can chirp, you gotta shut that thing up. I've done the work. I'm prepared. I'm ready for this. So that's what I would say. Man, you get me fired up. That's the first question. I'm like ready to go right now, man. I'm ready to go right now.
What one of the questions that came in was biggest life lesson from being a student athlete at UNCW.
Biggest life lesson being a student athlete at UNCW. Ooh, so many. That's a great question. You know what? See it through. My career didn't always go the way that I thought it was going to go at UNCW. There were times that I was very disappointed, whether it was playing time, whether it was class load, whether it was not being able to do all the fun things that, student athletes couldn't always do because of the time demands. And quite frankly, there were times where I just thought it would be different for me. And what I learned is when you serve others, when you help others, don't worry about your goals as much. You help others around you, naturally good things will happen to you. And so I became a person from our team that was always the one that tried to be the connector, that always tried to help my teammates, help my classmates, and I worried about other people, you know, and naturally when you worry about other people, you tend to rise. And so and to see it through, you know, I went through a lot of adversity in college, like we all do, right? I mean, I can remember, you know, my sophomore year, my mom coming to my dorm room saying that she had breast cancer. And, you know, that was hard, right? That same year we didn't win. That was the only year in my 4 years that we had like a losing record. And so you go through stuff, but sometimes it's not about showing up. It's about holding the rope when everybody else lets go. You got to see it through. You got to have grit. You got to have perseverance. And I think my career at UNCW, one of the biggest lessons I took, that it's not going to always look how you think it's going to look, but that doesn't mean that it can't be great. But for it to be great, you got to have a perspective and you got to have a grit that you hang on and you see it through. When others may let go, you hold on.
We do have some questions in the chat. First, Chris had his hand raised, and then we'll get to Dan's question right after Chris.
All right, so Martin, I hope I don't throw a curveball at you, but I know that you've been around a lot of talented basketball players, so I'm gonna ask for your perspective. Sometimes some players get a bad rap or a bad name. You can think of Meta, Kyrie, Birdman, Rodman. You can think of entire teams like the Bad Boys. And the question to you is, would you rather have a player who has talent with a lot of passion but with little leadership, or a player who has leadership with tons of purpose with little talent?
Everything you accomplish, Chris, is team. No one individual accomplishes it alone. Even a golfer has a team around him or her that allows them to achieve the success that they get. So I would tell you, it's not one or the other. You need talent. Like, hey, you know, athletics is one of the few businesses that there's a scoreboard. I always know how good my coaches did, because guess what? At the end of the game, we know if we won, we know if we lost, right? I'm in a profession that has a scoreboard. Not everybody can say that. So you need talent, but you also need leadership. You know, everybody's got a role to play. So, you know, that's my PC answer. If you press me on it, you know, I always want talent, right? I always want talent, because you can't do what you need to do without talent. And again, that's even in organizations. I've been in different places where the talent level of the colleagues and people that I work with is different. And so places that I've been where the talent wasn't as strong, I had to do more. I had to have more energy. I'm exhausted. I had to do more. I had to get in the weeds. I had to be the marketer. I had to do this. Whereas some places you have more talent around you, you can trust more, you can spread it out a little bit, and it's different. So I would say talent's really important, very important. And again, I've seen a couple of other classmates of mine too, Missy, and it's just good to see people here. I wish I could see everybody on here.
All right, Dan, you're up.
All right, cool. So from a SoCal Seahawk, welcome to Los Angeles.
Where you live?
I used to work at UCLA in the James West Alumni Center. So like I was right there with you. But if you ever need good Westwood recommendations for food, I got you.
I do.
Anyway,
you know, indoor dining just started like last week. So last week was the first time I had indoor dining in LA. Since I've been here since.
It's some good stuff around here. And happy to meet up whenever. But anyway, outside of all that, man. So, because you mentioned that you went for a run, for like a solid 4-mile run. And for those of us who don't like to run unless we're being chased, right? What are some good like mindset, mentality, mind shifts, routines that are important, you know, in not only the teams that you have, but even in your own, so like what you've been able to implement? You mentioned podcast and running, but like what are some other of those hacks that you might be able to give others?
You know, that's a good question. It all depends. I mean, at the end of the day, I have this sweatshirt I love, and it says "Me versus me," and that's what this is about. You know, it's about when you wake up, what's the decision that you're going to make? Because that's going to dictate the next hour, the next day. And so I think for me, again, you got to tune into mind, like I said, mind right, game right. What is going to help you, Dan, be your best? For me, it's movement. I just need to move. Every day I need to have some kind of movement, energy. It just helps me get going. If I don't get a workout and I'm sitting all day, like I don't feel like myself. So for me, I know movement is a key or a hack for me. Some people, it might be music, it might be meditation, it might be a lot of people, it might be that coffee in the morning, right? It gets you going. But I would say, not find something that's attainable to do consistently that puts you in a different frame of mind. For me, with the working out, sweating, it's just a mental thing for me. And so I don't know if that's a hack or not, but I know I equate movement to me being my best. And I wake up wanting to be my best. Our staff, our 275 staff members, our 700 student athletes, they deserve Martin's best every day, and we're not going to be able to give our best every day. You know that, right? But I got to try. You got to try. Because I'm the biggest critic of myself. If I don't do that, then I know it, whether or not anybody else knows it. So I would say you really got to think about what is it that helps Dan be your best. Think about that. What helps me be my best? What is that? Is it a walk? Is it something, and it's got to be short. In my mind, it's got to be a finite amount of time. It could be 5 minutes where you're just reflecting. I don't know, writing something down. But find one or two things that help you feel better mentally and emotionally to attack whatever it is you got to attack.
So
that's a good question.
A two-part question, because we got the same two questions in the chat, and then I'll get to the UCLA question. But so what advice would you give to an incoming freshman who may not know their purpose yet and how to find their purpose? And then what advice would you give for seniors that are getting ready to graduate?
Oh, that is a great question. Chelsea, who asked that?
So Tammy Bulger asked about the seniors getting ready to graduate.
Tammy.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember Tammy.
And then Lloyd was asking about incoming freshmen. So I want to know if you could go back to, 2000, whenever you were a freshman, 2001. No, you were a senior then, but.
I was a senior then, Chelsea. I'll take it though.
Talk to your little freshman Seahawk self. What advice would you give yourself on how to find your purpose?
Patience. Any incoming freshman, patience. There's one word. It's going to come. The younger you are, the more you want it right now. And if I could go back and tell myself something like I would tell any incoming freshman, have patience. Things take time. You don't become who you're meant to become or find a purpose that you're meant to serve overnight. You have to go through experiences. You have to go through life. You have to have ups and downs. And that's what forms and crystallizes that purpose that you're going to find. But I would tell any incoming freshman, have patience, try new things, and really get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think that's something that young people have a hard time to do. The more I'm working with young people, they're not as comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that's a skill you should work on and build right now. How do you do that? Whether listen to music that's totally different than what you would normally listen to. That's the easy one, right? Because what happens is when you start becoming more comfortable being uncomfortable, then you're able to connect and relate to people that are not like you. The more you can connect and relate to people that are not like you, the better off you're going to be in whatever it is you choose to do. Whether it's in college in your studies or whether it's group work, you're going to naturally be good or thrive the more you can connect and relate. Well, how do I connect and relate? I've got to get out of my comfort zone because not everybody is like me. I pride myself in that. Just earlier today in the gist of the job, I had a conversation with one of our donors who's in his mid 70s. But then I also was texting with one of our student athletes, a junior on the football team. And we were talking about music. Like, you gotta be flexible. You gotta be nimble. So that's what I would say to freshmen: be patient, go through life experiences, try to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And to Tammy's question about the seniors, seniors, when you leave UNCW, your first job is just that, your first job. Please keep that in mind. I think sometimes when we get that first job and you're not going to like your first job a whole lot. Now, hopefully, Chelsea, this isn't your first job, but you're not going to like your first job. Newsflash, you're not going to like your first job that much. It's going to suck. There's times where it's like, why am I doing this? But sometimes people think that that's what's going to be my job 5-7 years from now. Your first job is just that, your first job. Remember that. A lot of times you just got to get your foot in the door and start gaining experience. But don't get so caught up in what I'm doing right now, because a lot of that depends on the job market and the opportunities. Sometimes you just got to start. You just got to start. And that's what I would tell you. You can't be thinking and pondering and contemplating. You need to freaking go. And that's what I would tell you.
Martin, I didn't like my first 3 jobs, but it brought me to where I am. So I'm very appreciative.
It brought you home. It brought you home. Where are you supposed to be?
At UNCW. And this next question ties into kind of what you're saying. How can people applying to jobs combat those moments of self-doubt that make you think that you're not qualified?
Well, you're gonna doubt yourself. That's some of this is inevitable. And again, it's about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. When you have those moments of self-doubt, you've got to hold on. You've got to realize it's a moment in time. I don't get a job. Does that reflect poorly on me? No. What it does is it wasn't the right opportunity for you. But you got to be able to see it through and hold on and not take it so personal. All it takes is one. Whether it's a spouse, a mate, a job, all it takes is one. And you're talking to a guy, I had numerous interviews for an AD job. A lot of people don't know this. When I became an athletic director at Boston College at 37, everybody sees youngest in the country and came from Ohio State and all this. They don't see that was like my 9th interview. There were 8 times I interviewed for AD jobs before I got smacked. After the 4th or 5th one, I thought I was crap. I didn't think I was any good. I doubted myself a lot. Think about that. Think about a job you want, you're prepared for, and you interview 8 different times and you get told no. That's hard, right? That's hard, but you got to see it through. Because all I knew the whole time, all I was going to take is one. And then I'm gonna look at all those other A's and say, see, but again, that's the game. That's the perseverance, that's the grit, that's to see it through. And so self-doubt, that's gonna happen. If you want to achieve something great, it's never easy. I say that phrase all the time. It's never easy. A lot of times I say it during games because they're close games, especially in basketball. And it's like, it's never easy. It's hard. Being great is hard. I want to be elite. I want to be great. That is freaking hard. You just got to see it through and have a grit and a level of determination that, what, this doubt is a moment in time. Next play.
And we're going to go to Bryant. He's got his hands up. It might be.
I'm getting vulnerable, Chelsea.
I missed his question earlier.
I didn't expect
Bryant,
to say all
you're
that
good
about the failures, man.
And then we'll go Missy after Bryant.
What's up, Martin? I graduated in 2010 from Parks and Recs. I don't know you other than I heard you got the job at UCLA. Congratulations. And
thank you.
Just being a basketball fan, watching UCLA make that basketball run this year to the Final Four, man, you kind of fell in love with that team because they just seemed blue collar, some local kids, the point guard was kind of short, undersized, and they just had this fight about him. And I know UCLA athletic director is a big time job. Basketball has a big time tradition. Maybe there's a lot of pressure associated with taking that job. And I just wonder if you could maybe talk about some emotions, with the Final Four run and the basketball program doing good, and maybe what was going on behind the scenes and through your mind, possibly.
Yeah, I'll tell you. In this job as an athletic director, positive moments are very fleeting. So as soon as something good happens, usually there's stuff happening that's not so good that people may not even know about that you're dealing with. So part of the Final Four, and I'll give you a prime example. Our basketball coach is a great coach, Mick Cronin. And actually, I have to tell you this, when I got the job at UCLA, my second call was to Mick Cronin, our head basketball coach. I call him and he says, hey man, I keep all of my scouting reports from when I was an assistant coach. And he said, I have the scout from 2000 when I was an assistant coach at Cincinnati and we played UNC Wilmington in the NCAA tournament. And I said, no way. He said, I'm going to find it. He said, I got the scout. So again, that's the first thing that Mick Cronin said to me. Remember what I talked about connection? First thing he says is connecting with me in a way that I'm like, oh my God, you really have the scout for when I played. You know, it's like, it was cool, right? So anyway, so Mick is in his second year. First year was going well. We're going to make the NCAA tournament probably on the bubble, and then COVID happens, right? So second year, doing well, program's doing well. And then the last 2 weeks of the season, we just hit a wall. So we lost our last 4 games. We were first place in the Pac-12, lost 4 straight games, and end up finishing maybe fourth, I believe. So going into, and then we barely get into the tournament in the first 4 games. So going into that game as the athletic director, what I'm thinking is, Lord, please help us win this game, because there's a difference in, you were 3 weeks ago, you were first place in the conference versus you just finished your season losing 5 games in a row. You lose energy, you lose momentum. Everything in my world, I try to simplify things. I sell 2 things as an athletic director: hope or winning. We're either winning, and I'm telling you we're winning, and I'm saying, get on board, come to UCLA, be a winner. Or I'm saying, hey, you better get on this train right now because we're rolling. We're about to roll. Get on now. Don't wait. I'm selling hope if the program is not doing as well, right? Or if it's on the up, So you're selling one of those 2 things. And so in my mind, I'm thinking second year coach, program was going well, team was doing well, hit a bump late in the season. It's going to be really bad if we lose and you go into the offseason with no momentum, no juice, no energy. In athletics, you guys know that a lot of it's momentum and energy, and you got to build on that. So that was my feeling going into that first 4 game. We happened to be down 14 in the second half. I ended up getting out of my seat, walking around the concourse thinking, man, this is going to be bad this offseason. How am I going to sell this? That's what you're thinking. You're just worried, right? We win that game, and the rest is history. We win that game, we win another, we get to the Final Four. And the feelings that I had was pride. That our team was, and you probably saw it watching them, they were a good group of guys. Like, it's the kind of guys that play tough, play hard. There's no surefire NBA lottery picks on this team, and they just play together. And I think they captured the spirit and essence of like resilience and toughness and getting through the pandemic. And, there was a lot of, I would say, a lot of commonalities as far as like seeing it through and working hard and being tough and finding a way and figuring it out. And that's what this team did. And so I was happy and pleased. And it was tough for them. They were in a bubble, but people don't know they were there for 21 days. Besides playing games, they were in their hotel room. They couldn't go anywhere. So it was tough on the players and the coaches. So there was another level of toughness and focus that you needed, but it was a great run. It was a great run. And I'm just happy we won that first game. I definitely wanted to win that first game, and then everything else was great.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Martin, we've got time for one more question. We're going to turn over to Missy, and then we'll turn it back to
Chelsea,
Chrissy
give me
and
2
Dr.
more
Olson.
questions.
So-
Give me 2 more questions, Chelsea.
All right, if you want,
Come on.
we'll go Missy first.
I was going to say, I don't want to be the last question because mine is a little self-serving. For those I don't know on the call, I serve as the Associate Vice Chancellor for Advancement at UNCW. And Martin, thanks for bringing your A game and your energy tonight. Thanks for giving your time and your talent to your alma mater. We are fortunate to have you and your connection with Chrissy, who's also a former student athlete. I'd love to pick your brain because obviously part of your role as an athletic director is to inspire folks to give back. What should institutions be doing, in your opinion, based on your experience, to get students to think about, when they hang up their jersey, how do they stay connected to their university? Because it's been my experience talking to colleagues that a lot of former student athletes, they are a hard group to engage back. So talk to me about what you think universities should be doing in that space while they're still on campus as student athletes.
the first thing is doing everything they can to make sure student athletes are having a great experience. I think your experience is directly correlated to your level of engagement and involvement with your institution. Because if you don't have a good experience, you know this, Miss, you have no chance. So I think the first thing is you have to take more of a focus on, are they having a great experience? If they're not, where are we lacking? You know, right now I could tell you, I'm guessing that, you know, we do surveys, right? As an AD or administrators, you do surveys, but, you know, I don't know if that information is shared with the advancement office, for example. You know, that's something that I would tell you to think about. You know, I see Adam on here, you know, think about what's the connection with seeing the experience and advancement. Asking the question, is there anything that we can do that you would want to see from UNCW when you leave? You know, we don't ask enough questions of our student athletes, because a lot of times they feel like they're on an island, they're over here and the campus is over here. So you have to bridge that. So the student athlete experience, asking the question, what it is that we can do for you, right? When you leave here, what is it that we can do? Advancement, what can UNCW do for you? And some people may not know, but some might say, you know what, I'd really like to be able to connect networking wise or networking opportunities. And then you can have somebody talk about that. A lot of times student athletes aren't familiar with how advancement and development works. So that's another piece. I'd have, you know, you can't do it with every team, but I would have some kind of way where advancement or somebody in development could talk to each of the teams or a group of student athletes, if not just maybe the captains, to talk about their scholarship and how people give, just help support that. And that's just an education piece. But the bottom line is you got to have a great experience first. It starts there.
Thank you for indulging me with that.
We do have,
Chelsea. Chrissy.
Yes.
Last question.
We have one last question. Is this UCLA job your dream job?
Your dream, for me, my dream job is where I'm at. I don't look forward. I don't think about other jobs. I think about, you know what, I'm blessed every day. I got a great job. So is this my dream job? Yes, wherever I am is my dream job, because you know what, before you can think of anything else, you got to think of where you are. Charity starts at home. So I love the opportunity. I'm privileged and honored to serve at UCLA. And, you know, I don't get too far ahead of myself. You know, that's the big one for me.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Olson real quick, and then we'll wrap it up after that.
Do I get to say anything else, Chrissy? Or
oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I was cutting you off.
No, you cut me off because, you know, you gotta bring it back. You gotta bring it back, right? So again, I just want to thank everybody and UNCW and Dr. Olson and everybody just involved, Chrissy and Chelsea. Just thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This means a lot to me. You never know how it feels to be able to be with your people, you know, and be with your family and the Seahawk family. And this was really cool. Hopefully you got something out of it. To the students that are on here, I appreciate you. I know you got a lot of things going. I appreciate you spending time. Reach out to me if I can help or do something. Let me know. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Martin Jarmond, and email. I'll put it in the chat here, my email address. So hang in there, see it through. Mind right, game right, and the 3 Ps. I was going to say, Chrissy, you don't know the 3 Ps. You didn't write that down.
Yes, I do. Purpose, passion, and perspective. Don't.
3 Ps. There it is. There it is. Great job. Great job. She's listening, Coach. She's listening.
Hey, as if this night couldn't get any better. Thank you, Martin. You know, I took some notes. I loved it. Yeah, I was inspired. I'm going to do some things different tomorrow based on this talk. I'm sure a lot of us are, you know, and as I was thinking about your talk about purpose, you know, one of the things I tell my freshmen when I teach a freshman seminar is your job is to become a great sophomore. You know, a lot of times that purpose gets too big. Like, what am I doing with my life? What are you going to do with tomorrow? So I love that you took that notion of passion and you waking up every day and doing your best for today. So grateful for all the pearls of wisdom you dropped tonight. So as I said, I'm Department Chair of Communication Studies, and I've been a Seahawk since 1987 when I graduated. And my life changed because somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, you might be pretty good at this. And I'm sure all of us have those stories, whether they were while we were in college or mentors out in the marketplace, or a parent or an uncle or a grandparent that just said, hey, you might be good at this. And that casts a vision that changes your life. And so, Martin, one of the things that we do every year as faculty is we meet and we figure out who the graduating seniors are that we want to celebrate with special recognitions for senior awards. And we have things like Research Award and Academic Achievement Award and Student Leadership Award. And one of the other things we talk about is whether or not there's a distinguished alum this year that rises to the point where we want to say, hey, we want to recognize this person as a distinguished alumni. Now, you might imagine where this is headed. So unfortunately, this year we came up empty. So good night, everybody. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Of course I'm kidding. So actually, obviously, Martin, we thought you were worthy of this recognition, but not for the reasons that might be most obvious. We obviously could have recognized Martin based on his conduct while he was here as a true student athlete. We could have awarded him based on the prestige of his current positions and his past professional posts. And certainly could, do that on what others are saying about him. It's 40 under 40 recognition and a variety of other things. But that's not what we did. Even before you spoke tonight, here's what I said. We did it because as longtime faculty recalled his time here, and we looked at how he conducted himself professionally, we saw a connection that made us proud. He has consistently tied his success to the success of others. And I wrote that before the speech you gave tonight. He has consistently tied his success to the success of others. We are not awarding Martin because he's rich and famous. We are recognizing Martin because he has used his platform and his success to do the important work of lifting others up and modeling the way. So thank you, Martin, for your talk this evening. More importantly, for being a professional and a person we are proud to call one of our own. So please accept this small token of recognition, and I hope you will hang it in front of a national banner in your office for at least a day or two before it goes back to its rightful spot. Back to you, Martin.
Thank you so much. Wow. I just got goosebumps. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Dr. Olson. I'm not usually speechless, but I'm speechless right now. That really means a lot to me. Thank you.
All righty. So Chrissy, close us out.
Thank you, everyone. Congratulations. Martin, thank you for your time, and everybody else, thank you for your time and coming and listening. And Martin, if you want to put your email address.
Oh, let me do that right now. Let me jump in here. Let me jump in the DMs right now. Let me do this. Let's see my email address. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. I'm still getting used to writing it or typing it.
And if you guys, if nobody has any further questions or anything like that, we will wrap it up. But thank you guys for taking some time.